On behalf of the RHS, I'm delighted to present you with a gold medal.
Hi Christine. Well, I must say that video is quite something, and I really wonder whether or not all the recipients, the winners of the Go for Gold award, are going to react in quite the same way.
Wouldn't it be lovely if they did? I don't know if you remember iSpy at the In-Flight Salesperson of the Year Awards that we used to run. And it was all about creating that excitement and that feel-good factor. And I think that's something that we were remembered for and still are. And it's something that I wanted to recreate with the Travel Retail Go for Gold Awards.
Well, I mean, I think you know I'm not generally a fan of industry awards, but with Go for Gold, there seems to be something that may well be considered of some value to the industry. I mean, the platform is yours.
Well, can I just start by putting some context around the creation of the awards? If is that all right with you, Peter? Well, I'm not frightened, I never have been, of pushing the boundaries. I thrive on identifying new opportunities and recognizing needs before people even know that they've got them. For me, failure is not having a go. So that's where I start everything that I do from. So again, it's creating something new, having a go. We know it's going to take us a little while to get traction in this arena, but you know what? If you don't have it, you've got to be in it to win it.
You've obviously spoken to a number of suppliers and members of the retail community before you actually advanced this award scheme. I mean, has their input finessed the scheme in any way? And what have been your main challenges?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd be a fool if I didn't call upon the trusted group of friends that I've grown throughout my 30 years of working in this industry. And I think besides two people, everyone has been extremely positive about it. They love the way that we have worked really hard on the detail. That we have got the judges who are experts in travel retail and their specific product category. We've created a guide to gold to help the entrants be the best that they can be. We've had those guides to gold sense checks by major retailers like Dubai Duty Free and King Power and Heinemann and Harding Retail. So we are trying to keep it as transparent and as quality assured as we possibly can. So that's where we come from. But the biggest challenge, I think, is the fact that we're not media. So we don't have in year one, which is obviously going to be the toughest year for us, is that we don't have that exposure to the industry. So because we don't have a magazine behind us, so we've had to rely on LinkedIn and email marketing, and and we're doing our best to get the word out there. And so we knew that that was going to be a challenge. Once we're at Cannes and visitors can see the certificates on their stands and what have you, then year two is going to be so much easier. But yes, I think the fact that we don't have a media sponsor for obvious reasons, that's the biggest challenge this year. No, we haven't yet, have we? Well, going back to iSpy and my various projects that I've done throughout my 30 years career, as I say, in travel retail, we couldn't have done anything without the brands. They have always been major, major supporters of everything that I have ever done. So for me, it was logical to try and give something back and recognize what they do and the extraordinary lengths that they go to be innovative and support the retailers, and also just create some good news around the products sold within travel retail and obviously the people that ensure their success. So that's what I wanted to focus. I want to have a very clear focus. It's not something that for everyone. I'm not trying to do consumer and this and digital and marketing and everything else. It is purely focused on a product from beginning to end. So we have devised the judging category into 4 sections. So section 1 is around the product design and development and its initial KPIs. What do they expect of that product? You know, what's that success going to look like? Then section 2 is all about the customer touch points. So that's online, physical and digital, every opportunity they have to communicate with the customer. Then section 3 is about sustainability, doing the right thing. Section 4 is about revisiting those initial KPIs. What are the outcomes? And were there any unexpected success stories that relate to that specific product? So it is very, very focused on celebrating the success of products sold within travel retail.
So basically, why do you think brands need this certification? What are they going to do with it? Is it going to be just stood up there alongside, dare I say it, Frontier Awards to say, look, it's a nice collectible? What are they going to get out of it?
I think there's multiple benefits on the TR Go for Gold Awards. One is that benchmarking. So because our scoring system is very different to any of the other industry awards, so we have bronze, silver and gold. So it's not just, you're not just competing against your winners, against other competitors in your product category, is that you have to score a certain amount to get either the bronze, silver or gold standard. So again, it's being able to benchmark what you're doing against that of your competitors. Also, because of the 4 different sections, and we're asking them to create their entry in PowerPoint, that could be their new marketing campaign that they have to send in advance to the retailers, because the retailers have sense checked those documents.
Got it. Okay.
So there's multiple benefits to it. So a part of the marketing campaign, the presentations are done on the exhibition stands at the beginning of the week. So they've got a whole week of marketing at TFWA. So again, as I say, multiple benefits.
Now, submission date was originally June 4 and it's been extended. I think that's because of TFWA in Singapore and Acetil right now as we speak. How many entries have you had so far?
We've got about 30 entries so far, which I'm absolutely thrilled with, but I don't know whether you can throw any light on it, Peter, but we haven't had one entry for the team or individual award. What's that? I thought
that doesn't speak too well of the industry.
That work in my industry, but why aren't they, entering their colleagues or their team or individuals? I don't understand it.
I can't answer that, but I would like to ask what you reasonably expect in terms of the number of submissions by the end of, I think it's now June. The end of June is the final date, isn't it?
June. You know what? I have no idea, because we have no history to go on. I mean, I think Frontier had 179 finalists last year, and that TRB, I think, had a similar amount. But they have a huge history, a huge, legacy of doing things like this. And we're the new kids on the block. So I'm happy with the number that we've got already. It'll be interesting to see how many more we get. So, yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
And how many categories are there in total?
There are 16 categories.
Okay. So you could be doing with a few more in each category, and I hope the industry look at this and say, well, it might well be worth it. Okay, fair enough. And what about the judges? Let's go back to the judges. I mean, you've assembled a motley group of individuals across the many categories, and actually some are in the business and some have actually left the business. It's an interesting mix. The criteria you've adopted for Go for Gold actually are quite extensive. So you've actually given them really quite a lot of work to do. I mean, so how exactly does the grading system work to determine those who will obtain the different levels of status that you actually offer?
Okay, if I can go back a couple of stages to our judges. Don't know whether we've got time, but I'd love to give them all individually a shout out.
Let's not. We can just zip them across the bottom of the page.
That would be amazing. Thank you very much. Getting this group of people together was an exercise on its own, and I was absolutely gobsmacked that they would say yes, because I've given them a lot of tasks to do, and they've all just said yes, and they're so supportive, and they are my sounding board. They've all worked in travel retail without any exception, and they are all experts in their own category. And very different to the other awards, there is no panel. Each judge only judges the entrants in their category. So what happens is the entries come to me to start with. I read through them all, and if those entries haven't provided enough evidence according to me, then I'll go back to them. I say, this is a little bit light on evidence. If you got till the 30th of June to resubmit your entry, because they're not competing against their competitors to win an award as such. They are just trying to reach either the gold, bronze, silver standard.
Should you be doing that? Should you be advising them they've not actually met the criteria? Surely these guys are wise enough to know that when they put in a submission that they should have the resource and knowledge base to know what they want to say.
Well, I think absolutely right, Peter. And we've also created the Guide to Gold, which actually sort of details the sort of information or the evidence that the judges are actually looking for. But in some cases that just hasn't translated into the entry. So I will just say you need to put more information in sections 1, 2, 3 or 4. And if you want to resubmit, then that's entirely up to you. So go through that process. Then I send that entry to that specific relevant judge. They have a judges checklist that we've created as a group of judges, and they will mark it accordingly. So what we've done is each section is worth a percentage. So section 1, which as I said is the design and development and KPIs, that's worth 25%. Section 2, the customer touch points, which is a huge piece, is worth 35%. Doing the right thing, that should go without saying. On sustainability, environment, recycling, etc., that's worth 15%. And KPI outcomes is worth another 25%. So we then have followed the UK university grading system. So 50 to 65% is a bronze, 50 to 60 is bronze, 60 to 70 is silver, and above 70 is gold. So a third, a second, and a first class degree.
Okay. Now, are people having to pay to submit?
Yes, they are. So they pay £250 to submit an entry. But because we do not have an award ceremony that they're going to have to pay upwards of €300 a ticket, then we think it's extremely good value for money. And they get, as I mentioned before, all those multiple benefits.
Yeah, and I guess you could have 30 winners as opposed to 100 winners for people who put money down.
Have any. We might, and that's what I've said to the judges very clearly. Don't be afraid not to award a gold or not to award a silver or not even to award a bronze. The submission has to reach the criteria in order to be given that certificate.
But let's say you have by the end of June, which is like 3 weeks away, maybe only 50 at the end of the day who've submitted, and there are only 25 awards given out. I mean, the optics don't look very good for that. I mean, it's a bit sort of schoolmasterly almost to say, well, you didn't quite make the cut. I mean, this could be problematic for you.
I don't think so. If you look at the Chelsea Flower Show, the clip that you showed at the very beginning of the interview, the way that works is it's run by the Royal Horticultural Society. They organise the Chelsea Flower Show and they organise their own awards. And the criteria is so exact. And that's why it's so inspirational and aspirational to actually get gold at Chelsea. So if we make it too easy, I don't think that gives the right message either. Our long-term aim is to develop the judging criteria into an industry standard. And to do that, we have to have an exacting criteria, and people have to know that getting a TR Go for Gold certificate actually really does mean something.
Okay, just moving on. I mean, it's been suggested that you may be trying to cannibalize other existing industry awards. I mean, you're obviously hoping to monetize this in the coming years. But for this year, let's just confirm you're going to announce the awards at Cannes.
Yeah, what happens is on the first day at Cannes, I'll be going around handing out the certificates, and we've sourced meter high stands so they can slot them in, and that will be on their stand or just outside their stand for everyone to know. We're also creating a map of the exhibition, and there'll be little bronze, silver and gold dots on the stands that have actually received a certificate that we'll give out to visitors. So another great marketing tool for those who have actually, entered the TR Go for Gold Awards. With regard to the monetization, I own TRT Go for Gold lock, stock and barrel. I retired in late 2020, so I'm not doing this for the money. It would be, it's a bonus, but I don't have to answer to any shareholders. I don't have huge overheads. I can honestly say to you today that I just think this is the right thing for the industry. I think we can thrive on standards to know where we are, and what we're doing is the right thing to do. So yeah, it's not about the money as far as TR Go for Gold is concerned.
Okay, I mean, I won't ask you to name names, but can you put your hand up and say that there are major players who have submitted to date?
I can. And I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, on our entry form, we ask them to say whether they are a small, medium or a large.
Yeah, it's important to get a cross-section, isn't it? Really important to get a cross-section.
Really important. And we've got very small companies, from the jewellery sector right to the major P&C companies. So I'm absolutely delighted.
And it's only the start. They've still got 3 weeks to go. Okay.
Yes.
One last question, Christine. I mean, it's been 6 months of fairly intense activity. I mean, has it been worth it? And why has it been worth it?
Do you know what, Peter? I have loved every minute of it. I love a challenge. It's put me back in touch with friends and associates in the industry. Working with my amazing team of judges has been an absolute delight. And as I say, I'm not afraid of failure. For me, failure is not having a go. And we will see whether it's worth it or not. Is it something that the industry wants? So far, so good. And I know it will take time to get traction. I mean, you and I know that this industry doesn't respond quickly to change.
Yes.
I mean, how long did it take us to have a digital customer offering? I mean, we don't do things quickly. So they really do have, we take baby steps. And so, yeah, I've got a business plan over 5 years, and I think hopefully with a fair wind, the industry will take the TR Go for Gold Awards to their hearts and embrace it.
I wish you well, Christine, and look forward to seeing you later this year.
Yeah, me too. Take care, and thank you for the opportunity, Peter. Much appreciated.
It's a pleasure.